How you guys doing? So, Derek Martell Rose may be the biggest what if in the history of sports. D Rose has been my favorite basketball player ever since I was a kid because of the adversity he had to overcome after all of his injuries and because of how humble he stayed during all of it. Today I'll be telling you guys the story of Derek Rose and how he easily could have been the best point guard to ever play the game of basketball. So Derek was born in Englewood, Chicago, attending Simeon High School, and he had to grow up with little money, with one older brother and one younger brother, and just his mom. So he never really had a father, and so him and his older brother really kind of like helped the household stay together a lot. But he quickly became the best high school basketball player in the country, being a 5-star point guard, and he committed to Memphis after winning back-to-back state championships. So at Memphis, he averaged 15 points and 6 assists, and then he took his team to the Final Four before losing. So after that, he went on to be the #1 pick in the draft, being selected by his hometown team, the Chicago Bulls. So over the next 3 years, he would win the Rookie of the Year, sign a $190 million deal with Adidas, win a gold medal with Team USA, and also become the youngest NBA MVP to ever win that award. And also that season, he earned his team the 1 seed in the East, and before losing in the Eastern Conference Finals to LeBron and the Heat, rightfully so. And then, so the next season, he was expected to have another MVP season, which he was, until the playoffs. They also earned the 1 seed again. And then in the first round against the 76ers, they were up by 12 in the late game. There was like a minute left in the game, and he really shouldn't have been in. But he was for some reason, and he ended up tearing his ACL, which caused him to sit out the rest of that season, unfortunately. And then the next season, he comes back and tears his meniscus. So that caused him to miss the rest of that year. So he came back in 2013 where he averaged 15 points a game before tearing the same meniscus and finally coming back for the playoffs where he hit a game winner against LeBron and the Heat until the Cavs, and then they lost that series in 6 games, unfortunately. So the next couple years in Chicago, Derek put up average numbers even after those injuries until he was traded to the Knicks in 2016. After a year with the Knicks, putting up 17 points a game, which were pretty good numbers, but the Knicks were kind of a bad team, and they'd never made the playoffs. But that year, or after his first year with the Knicks, he came back the next year and ended up tearing his left meniscus, which you can see there. Kemba Walker kind of crossed him over a little bit, and he tried closing out and tore his left meniscus then. So after that, he was bouncing around a couple teams. He was on the Cavaliers, and then after being on the Cavs, he was on the Minnesota Timberwolves, where on 2 months into the season, he ended up dropping 50 points and really proved to everybody that he can still play like he did in 2012. And after his interview, you can see he's really emotional there. He was actually crying, just telling the person interviewing him that he worked his butt off to get there, and he loves the fans. And so I don't know, he was really staying humble through all of it, even after being injured that many times. And I have a commercial to show you guys by Powerade that they made for Derek. Well, just playing on my PowerPoint before, but we can pull it up on YouTube really quick. It should take like 2 seconds. So yeah, YouTube made this kind of motivational commercial for Derek Rose. And it's a really good commercial, actually. window button.
Key with the window symbol on it. Toward the bottom. Just hold it down and then it'll say duplicate as a choice. Window P, I think. There.
All right, yeah. So they released this commercial after he got injured and before he was coming back into the playoffs, before he hit that game winner against the Cavs.
See, you wouldn't ask why the roads that grew from the concrete had damaged pedals. On the contrary, we would all celebrate its tenacity. We would all love its will to reach the sun. Well, we are the roses. This is the concrete. These are my damaged pedals. Don't ask me why. Ask me how.
I always thought that was a really cool commercial that they dropped, and it was kind of hyped up the whole city of Chicago before they dropped it and he came to the playoffs, returning after tearing his meniscus. So at the end of the day, there's no question that if Derrick Rose never got injured, he'd be the greatest point guard of all time. D Rose is an inspiration to everyone who has failed at something, just to really work harder and never give up. I want to wrap things up by a quote from Derrick, and he said this after he dropped 50 points on the T-Wolves to a reporter post-game. He said, "Hard work isn't enough, you need to believe." Thank you.
All right, thank you.